Jean-Paul Sartre is often remembered as the philosopher of anguish, freedom, and existential dread. Yet this reputation hides a deeper truth. Sartre was not trying to burden us with despair, but to wake us up from a comforting illusion. His philosophy begins with a radical statement: existence comes before essence. This means that you are not born with a predefined purpose, destiny, or identity. You simply appear in the world, and only later do you define who you are through your actions. This idea can feel unsettling at first, because it removes all external guarantees. But it also opens the door to a profound form of freedom, one that places your life entirely in your own hands. Sartre was born in Paris in 1905, into a world already marked by instability and conflict. He lost his father at a very young age and grew up surrounded by books, ideas, and a sense of intellectual intensity. From early on, Sartre learned that meaning was not something passively received, but actively constructed. He studied philosophy at the École Normale Supérieure, where he began developing the ideas that would later define existentialism. Living through World War II, witnessing occupation, violence, and moral collapse, Sartre was confronted daily with the question of responsibility. How do you live authentically when the world itself seems absurd or hostile? At the heart of Sartre's philosophy lies the concept of radical freedom. According to Sartre, humans are condemned to be free. This phrase sounds paradoxical, but it captures a crucial insight. We cannot escape freedom, even when we try. Every choice we make, including the choice not to choose, is still a choice. Even obedience is an act of freedom. This means that we are always responsible for what we do, think, and become. There is no external authority, no God, no fixed human nature that can relieve us of this responsibility. Freedom, for Sartre, is not a gift. It is a condition of existence. This radical freedom often produces anxiety, what Sartre calls anguish. Anguish is not fear of something external. It is the awareness that nothing stands between you and your choices. When you realize that your life is the result of your decisions, the weight of that realization can be overwhelming. But Sartre does not see anguish as something to eliminate. On the contrary, anguish is a sign that you are aware, awake, and honest about your condition. It is the price of authenticity. An easy life, in Sartre's view, is not a life without anxiety, but a life without self-deception. One of Sartre's most powerful concepts is bad faith. Bad faith occurs when we lie to ourselves in order to escape responsibility. We pretend that we are not free, that our roles define us completely, or that circumstances leave us no choice. Sartre gives the famous example of a waiter who plays at being a waiter, acting as if his identity is fixed and mechanical. In bad faith, we reduce ourselves to objects, denying our ability to transcend our current situation. This self-deception may offer temporary comfort, but it ultimately leads to emptiness and frustration. Bad faith appears in many modern forms. We say, "That's just how I am," or "I had no choice," or "society made me this way." While external factors do influence us, Sartre insists they never fully determine us. There is always a margin of freedom, a space where choice remains possible. Recognizing this space is uncomfortable because it removes excuses, but it is also liberating. When you stop hiding behind roles and narratives, you begin to reclaim authorship of your life. For Sartre, authenticity means fully owning your freedom and responsibility. It means acting in accordance with values you have consciously chosen, rather than blindly adopting those imposed by society. Authentic living does not guarantee happiness or success, but it does offer coherence and integrity. You become aligned with yourself. In this sense, Sartre's philosophy is deeply practical. It asks you to examine your daily choices, your habits, your relationships, and your goals, and to ask whether they truly reflect who you want to be. Another central idea in Sartre's thought is that we define ourselves through action. You are not what you intend, hope, or dream. You are what you do. This emphasis on action shifts the focus from abstract self-improvement to lived reality. Sartre would say that your character is not hidden inside you waiting to be discovered. It is created moment by moment through your behavior. This can be empowering because it means change is always possible. No matter your past, your next action still matters. Sartre also explored the complexity of human relationships. One of his most famous and misunderstood claims is that hell is other people. This does not mean that others are inherently evil. Rather, Sartre is pointing to the tension that arises when we become objects in someone else's gaze. When we are seen, judged, or categorized, we risk losing our sense of freedom. Yet relationships are also unavoidable and essential. The challenge is to engage with others without surrendering our authenticity or denying theirs. In the context of self-improvement, Sartre invites us to reflect on how much of our identity is shaped by external validation. How often do we act to please, impress, or conform? How often do we let the expectations of others define our choices? Sartre's philosophy encourages a quieter, more grounded confidence, one that comes not from approval, but from self-responsibility. True freedom is not isolation, but the ability to remain oneself even in the presence of others. Sartre rejected the idea that life has a pre-given meaning, but this does not lead to nihilism. On the contrary, it places meaning creation at the center of human life. Meaning is not discovered, it is made. Every project you commit to, every value you embody, contributes to the meaning of your existence. This perspective transforms even ordinary actions into ethical choices. The way you live becomes a statement about what you believe a human life should be. From a modern perspective, Sartre's ideas resonate strongly with personal growth. Many people feel trapped, not by external chains, but by internal narratives. Sartre teaches that these narratives are often forms of bad faith. When you see yourself as stuck, defined, or powerless, you are denying your freedom. Growth begins when you acknowledge that change is possible but not guaranteed. It requires commitment, effort, and courage. An easy life through Sartre's lens is not a life of comfort but a life of clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you value, and what you are responsible for. It is a life where you stop waiting for permission to live authentically. This does not mean reckless behavior or selfishness. Sartre emphasizes that when you choose for yourself, you also choose for humanity. Your actions implicitly express what you believe others should do as well. In practical terms, Sartre's philosophy invites daily reflection. Ask yourself, am I acting out of habit or choice? Am I hiding behind a role or expressing a value? Am I blaming circumstances or taking responsibility for my response? These questions do not demand immediate answers, but they gradually sharpen awareness. Awareness for Sartre is the first step toward freedom. Sartre's legacy is not a system of rules, but an attitude toward life, an attitude of honesty, courage, and engagement. He challenges us to stop treating ourselves as finished products and to embrace our unfinished nature. You are always in the process of becoming. This realization can be unsettling, but it is also deeply hopeful. It means your story is not closed. It means your next chapter is still being written. Ultimately, Sartre offers a powerful message for anyone seeking growth. You are not trapped by your past, your labels, or your fears. You are free, and that freedom is both your burden and your gift. When you stop running from it, when you stop denying it, you begin to experience a quieter form of peace. Not the peace of certainty, but the peace of ownership. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel, Leave a like and a comment and follow us for more personal training videos towards an easy life.